I represent the unknown. I represent this polyculture, right? The same thing as we were talking about the people here. It's like you don't know what you're going to get with me. I'm not civilized. I've not been. I've been undoctrinated from the some of the civilization program, and that represents a threat.
So good to see you, man. We're looking more and more like than ever.
More what than ever?
More and more like. I don't know. I
More
see
like.
myself. Maybe it's I see myself in you more than ever. Maybe there's something in that.
I'm not bald yet, but I'm on
Far
track.
from it. Far from it. You'll
No,
have that.
I'm almost
Amazing. How are
there.
you, mate?
That's
Where
my
are you first?
that's my next initiation. Chop it all off.
It was a
I
it was a go on.
go for it.
Yeah. It was a beautiful moment actually. It was a real like letting go and a real like surrender. Like so many hold on. And it's such a symbol, of course, to something, I guess, to something that we all do is hold on for longer than we need to. And when we do it, when we let go, it never feels like we thought it would. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I do a lot of letting go practices, but for some reason the hair is not one that
Let's do it
I
right now.
can go yet. I can go into. You asked where I am. I'm in Lake Atitlan in Guatemala,
Mm-hmm.
in this really magical volcanic lake that's about a mile above sea level in the mountains of Guatemala, where the it's like a really strong uh, continuation of Mayan lineage that yeah, it seems to be one of the rare instances where ancient culture still, like, you can still see it living and breathing. Yeah, and I'm not here because of that, but I'm inspired. I'm very
Yeah.
inspired by.
Nice little byproduct of why you're there. So could you go into more detail about that? Like what do you witness? What do you observe in the ancient connected?
Well, the first the on the physical level, you see, well, mostly women. They still dress in their village um, attire. They still dress in this very sacred way. That, and every thing they wear has a meaning. It has a purpose, and like it's like modern culture has not infiltrated enough that this has perished. Everywhere else that I go, the only cultural things that I see visually are meant for tourists. They're it's about business. It's about trying to make money by putting on a little show that people can be entertained by, and that people will pay for. And here it's still connected to the way of life. It's still how they do things around here, and it's very special. And that's just on the physical level. Also, they speak Mayan. The locals speak Mayan. They speak their language. And the funny thing about the Mayan language is that each tribe has a completely different version of this language. They basically they would have a hard time understanding each other. Like, they would not get it. So there's a very rich, diverse, it's like the opposite of monoculture. You know, in modern culture is all about having sameness. That everything, you know, it's about everything looking the same and feeling the same, so that we can like understand everything. So that's why everyone loves Starbucks, for instance. Like when you go to a Starbucks, you know exactly how it's gonna go, you know what it's gonna look like, you know what you want to order. And here it's like you never know what's gonna happen, you never know who you're gonna encounter, what kind of language they speak. You may not understand each other verbally, and there's such a intimacy that happens in this, in like in the discovery process of the, I don't know what I'm going to get today. I have no clue what's going to happen.
And do you sense there's an okayness about that? Like, do they want it to be that way, or is it just the way?
That's just how it is. I mean, that it's so much more in line and in tune with the way of nature. Like when you walk through a forest, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know what plants will be there. You don't know, like there's not somebody tending to it and making sure that the, you know, the tomatoes are over here and the these are over there. It doesn't work that way. So, you know, I have a funny story. I actually came here originally 2 months ago for a training, and it was like, you know, the kind of work that I do with possibility management and with feelings and next culture work, like really a lot of shadow work on doing stuff. And it was a very intense training. But one day, the space holder said, "Okay, here's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna go." It was a Saturday. We're gonna go to the market, a local market, really big local market, and you have some tasks. And your tasks are to talk to the locals, learn somebody's story, learn some words in their language, and like, yeah, really go in there, you know, get in there, and not just go buy stuff, but go learn something.
Mm-hmm.
So I at one point I'm at a fruit stand, and I just I'm talking to the woman, and I asked her, said, "What's your favorite fruit?" And she didn't she didn't really understand what I was saying. So I tried to discover different questions that would help, like, get me an answer. And eventually I asked her, if you could only eat one fruit for the rest of your life, what would it be? And she looked at me like I was an alien, because the question was so ridiculous, because there is not a fruit that you can harvest all year. So how could it be possible that she would only eat one fruit? It makes no sense within the cycles of nature. You know, there's different fruits in different seasons, so it would not make sense. And I was like, I just melted in that response, because it's so true. Like it the assumptions and the beliefs that I carry as someone from that grew up, you know, in a US type society, is that I can get whatever fruit I want whenever I want. You know, in the grocery store, they're always there, whatever I want. And it is such a lie. It is so disconnected from.
Some people love it. Some people love it. Some people really love to get what they want all year round. And they really
Yeah, I
love
mean, no,
that.
no, we all love. There's a part of us. There's a part of all of us that loves that, of course.
Mm. What are the
However,
consequences?
exactly, what are the consequences? Like, what are we giving up in terms of our health, the health of the planet, of the soil? Like, what kind of
Mm.
modification and manipulation needs to happen in order for that to be true?
Mm. What stories need to give way to allow us to thrive, essentially?
Yeah,
The current story is to thrive, we need everything the same and we need to know everything that's going to happen. And that's not true. That's not the truth. And I
yeah,
know
it
you're a
just
truth
doesn't.
seeker.
It doesn't match up. It doesn't match up with the game where we were placed into. You know, like,
Mm.
when I say game, I mean like as humans, we were we are like our soul comes into this body in on this earth, and this earth has a certain way of operating. It works in a certain way, like it works well in a certain way, and we've decided that we want to play a different game on this earth. So it's like we're on a soccer field, a soccer pitch, a football pitch, excuse me, for the Europeans. We're on a football pitch and we're trying to play baseball or cricket, whatever, another a totally different sport where the rules are different rules, and you would need a different type of pitch and different elements available to play it. And yeah, it just the farther out I go from the society that I was raised in, the more I see the insanity of it.
How do you feel when you go back into a shopping mall?
I've gone to a shopping mall a couple of times to go get things, and I feel alien. It's it's like I see everybody that goes to people that go to malls, and they're so clean, and I use that term subjectively. Like, when I say clean, I don't mean good or hygienic or healthy. I just mean
not
like
cleansed, but clean.
full of chemicals, like with no dirt on them, with nothing from nature on their body, nothing from out there, no dirt, no yeah, nothing from out there. And everyone obviously wearing big rubber shoes and really nice, perfectly like cleaned, bathed in chemical clothing.
Are you talking about the food? Are you talking about the food or the people?
Exactly. Yes. And I walk in there, and I wash my clothes, but I don't wash them with any detergents. I just throw them in the machine with water, maybe a little bit of, I don't know, vinegar or baking soda or something. And I don't use any products on my skin. I don't use any soaps or shampoos or anything like this. I usually don't have any shoes on either. So I feel like a foreign. I feel foreign, like totally foreign. Like it's hard to describe in words, but there's this. It's like I'm emanating out nature, like smells and different. I'm usually like a little bit dirty, like dirty. I have a little, I have a little layer of like dirt, nature, water, salt on my body, and I feel like I'm like projecting out nature in a place that doesn't want it. And so I can feel the eyes looking at me, not just the physical eyes, but the energetic eyes looking and being like, this person does not belong here. And I send a message energetically. I say, I know. I know. I'm just running in here really quickly to get something, and I'm out. Don't worry about me.
Do you think they worry? Do you think there's
there's a fear. There's a fear of like, because I represent the unknown. I represent this polyculture, right? The same thing as we were talking about the people here. It's like you don't know what you're going to get with me. I'm not civilized. I've been undoctrinated from the some of the civilization program, and that represents a threat in that culture, in a culture that has decided that it needs to protect itself from learning new things, from being met with anything outside of the known.
Mm-hmm. Has that changed over the years? Like how you are more okay with that now and those situations? Because that's also an example of many situations in life, right? It's just a visceral one that people can feel into and understand. But going into situations where you feel like you don't belong, maybe that's back home, maybe that's friendship groups, maybe that's at work, because you've had a powerful weekend with some men around a fire, and you're like, oh yeah, I've still got that dirt on my feet. Oh, I'm not wearing socks anymore, or whatever it might be. People can feel like that feeling of, oh, I don't fit. That doesn't something doesn't fit here right now, and it's you're giving off that energy. So of course it's going to be met with like some sort of distance. So is that how's that been over the years? And it's not been linear, I'm sure. And now you laugh about it and you joke, but for some it can be really like really challenging, right?
I'm no different. There's times when it's very painful. There's times when I find doorways to connect and have fun with it. And I don't this is the thing. I don't know what's gonna come from me either. I'm not predictable even to myself. So, and I think this is a big healing process for people to be okay with being unpredictable, like me to myself. Sometimes I go back and I really like find that groove, like living in the gap in between, where I'm not the me that I think I am, and I'm also not the me they think I am, but I'm like in this gap in the middle where I can play and have fun. Sometimes I don't find that gap. Sometimes I'm totally identified and with this thing, and I'm like, who are they? You guys don't get it, and sometimes I like submit a more than I would like submit to the program more than I would like. And yeah, I don't know which part of me is gonna come out. I remember I went to this event in Miami. I was there in December, and I go to this event, and it's like a gathering with I don't know, let's say 15 people, and everyone was gonna be filmed towards the end to give just a 5 minute thing. And I posted this on my page, just like thing of like I don't know, of like being in the I don't know. And I don't know, the version that emerged of me in that evening and in the recording was very connected, very humble. And my friend, he's one of my closest friends, that he came also. He said, I'm so glad this version of you came out today. I was really worried about which version of you would be there today. And I said, I took it as a compliment, this thing. I was like, okay, cool, thank you. I love that, actually. I'm glad that this is how unpredictable it is.
Yeah. How are you, mate? How are you? How's things? And why are you where you are right now? Why are you in Guatemala?
And what? Sorry, you said how are you and what?
Yeah, and why are you there? So what's alive for you right now? What's happening in Jeff's world?
Hmm. Yeah, so like I said, I came here for a training, and the training is at this retreat center. I don't like to use that word. It's more like a monastery or sanctuary than it is a retreat center, but it's called the Hermitage here in Guatemala. And I came here for a training,
Mm-hmm.
not in what this place does, but the owner and the other people that live here are contexted in the same work. So they brought a training to the space. And it turns out that this place is actually a darkness retreat center. So it's a place to come and be in the dark for 3 days, 5 days, 10 days, 30 days. I know some people have gone in there for 90 days or something like that. It's amazing. But
Yeah.
from the moment I got here for the training, I got to meet the people here and feel the vibe, and I was just blown away by this place it's in a little town on the lake, and it's the property's right on the lake, like like if I look over this way, that's the lake right there, and this volcano up there. It's like this breathtaking environment, totally natural. People farming like on either, like all down the lake and on either side. And this place, yeah, it's a hermitage. It's a place to retreat. It's a place to be much more internal and away from the socializing and the all of this, and time to go within. And I've known this about myself. I mean, you've been on that Telegram group that I had for over a year, where back in Peru I was talking about needing to learn how to be alone. And so it was like all the pieces aligned, and I was like really in love with the place, with the people, and with the intention of this place. And I basically just said, hey guys, I need to fly back to Puerto Rico for a wedding, and then I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna stay here with you, and I'm gonna be part of this team. What do you think? And they said, yeah, come back, let's do this. So I went to Puerto Rico for a wedding, went back to family, back to that craziness. And then I came back here, and I started planting seeds. Literally, like I I I went out in the garden on my first week, and I started planting watermelon, pineapple, peppers, tomatoes, and different things that I wanted to grow here. And it's like, from I think it was one of the first second day or something that I got here, and we do morning practice together every morning, and it's so beautiful because each person that lives here, we take turns and we share our own practice, whatever we're wanting to work on that morning. We bring it and we share it with our family here, and also with the guests that are coming for their retreats. And I remember sitting there, and just this really strong voice came in and was like, I'm home. And for me, it's like such a special experience, because for the last 3 years, I've been traveling around with a backpack, really feeling like there is no place that I can call home other than myself, other than me. And to have landed here in such a serendipitous way has been so special, so special. And yeah, so I'm living here, learning about the dark, learning about being with myself a lot more, and about integrating the emotional healing work, and the initiation work with the dark retreats. So playing with weaving together this work that I'm so passionate about, and the work that Severin, who's the owner, is so passionate about, like how we weave it together and create a big transformation and integration for people. So sitting in the dark is a really, I mean, it's one of the original medicines. It's one of the original, like, dark, sitting in the dark, doing sweat lodge, like these original medicines, like that don't require anything complex or intricate. You just get this dark space, you go sit there with no light, and no external stimulation for an extended period of time.
Yeah. Yeah. Very sensorial. I just want to say that I'm so happy that the paths aligned there, and you are where you are. Like, hearing that, it's a joy to hear. I really, really love that, man. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. So the dark, then, have you stepped into it before?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Or at this retreat?
Well, I've stepped in before through a different doorway. I was when I was in Egypt last year. When I was in Egypt last year, I did a plant medicine ceremony, which is another thing that I've done quite a bit of work with over the last few years. And this was in August in Egypt in the desert. We did this very intense all night ceremony, you know, like sitting up, fire around a fire, a lot of medicine. And at one
Was
point I go ahead.
was that after you came to England and
Right
we had
after, yes.
right after? Uh,
Right after that. Yes. So we're doing the ceremony and throughout the night I'm getting this it was like the medicine was playing with my body, like showing me like, oh, you think you need to go to the bathroom? Okay, like there you go. Are you sure you need to go to the bathroom? Because it would like go away, and I would feel like I had to go to the bathroom, then it would just like disappear. I'd feel nauseous, and then it would just disappear. The medicine was just showing me like your mind makes up a lot of bullshit, you know.
mm.
Like you make sure you're clear, you understand that, and many hours after that, I finally just got up and said, I'm going to try to go to the bathroom and see what happens. So the bathroom, imagine like so it's in Egypt and it's very desert place that we were at. And all the structures are very, you know, like clay looking, you know, very, it's kind of that style, very kind of a Bedouin. And there's like an archway that goes into this like little hallway, and there's the sinks at the end of the hallway, and then to the left there's the stalls, and to the right there's a little doorway that goes into a room that kind of looks like a sauna. So it had like two levels of seating basically, and they were just using it for storage. They were just using it for storage at that point. But I go into the I go to the stall and I put my hands on one of the stalls and I'm like, yeah, I don't think I need to do this. I don't think I need to go to the bathroom. And then I look across and I look and the doors are like kind of open into this space and it's like pitch black. It's the middle of the night, it's pitch black. And I go, oh fuck. You know, it's on medicine, so there's a lot going on. And I just, there's like this like terror that just like comes up my spine of like the void, like looking at the void of the pitch black of like I could I could I don't know what's in there. I could die. You know, if I go in there, like who knows what's in there? What kind of scary fucking obviously a metaphor of like the going within and looking at the dark parts of ourselves. But so I look over and I go, and I hear this thing that says, I've said no to this too many times. So no, I've said no to this too many times. So I just turned, you know, about face and I just walk in there. And it's just like all of a sudden it's like, you know, when in the movies, in the space movies that they're starting going light speed and the things start like there's like rings that start forming and I'm just like walking through this space and it's like every step is like feels like I'm lifting a fucking boulder to like keep going, trudging through the mud and like keep taking the next step. And I get in there and it's just like with holding the inhale, and it's just like I walk in and like I just like wow. And I just got to sit there and like just be met with such a beautiful dancing, flowing, like feminine energy that was just like, finally, thank you for finally coming, you know, finally daring to die. And I got to just sit there and be nourished and cared for by this beautiful feminine energy. And it was very overwhelming at the time, but it was also, yeah, like this very enlightening sort of experience where I was like, I don't have to be afraid of the dark. I don't have to be afraid of my fear. I don't have to stop myself from the unknown, which is kind
Mm.
of the theme that has been threading through this conversation. That it's okay to sit there and not know. You know, this is the feminine, right? The void, the unknown, the chaos, the water, the serpent, the moon. Like it's this force of wild creativity sourced from the unknown, from the nothing.
Mm. Yeah.
And yeah, so I got that. I it really I know it sank into every part of me, because when I went into that dark room, it was the same thing. It was just this beautiful 4 nights of like just being in a total, like, in a, basically like making love for 4 days with myself. That was the experience for me. And it is not like this for most people. I just want to be clear for everybody out there listening. It is not like this. Everybody, now that Aubrey Marcus and Aaron Rodgers did their darkness thing and talked about it, now everybody wants to come and do this.
Mm.
And we're just getting a flood of requests for dark retreats. There are very few in the world, actually. And we're getting this flood of requests. There's like a wait list of like forever. And yeah, our filter is very high. Like our sorry, this probably is not meant for you right now. Filter is pretty high.
Mm.
And it has to do with this. Yeah, like now everybody saw it, so now it's becoming the cool thing. So, but there's so much preparation to do. It's a lot of prep to do to go in there. Like a lot of meditation work, a lot of self inquiry work, a lot of shadow work, a lot of intimacy, relationship, feelings work to do. So
So that's the
we
filtration
don't.
process for you in that center.
Well, it's an intuitive process for us, because we talk. We have a sort of like a questionnaire, and we have some interaction with the person, and we just get a feel for it. And it's not like, oh, you're not ready. It's like, look, this probably is not, you're not going to get what you could out of this without
Mm.
preparation. I mean, at this point, we have like a 6 month, 3 month, 6 month waiting list. So it's like, okay, here's what you should do in order to start preparing yourself. And there's people here who come with years and years of meditation experience, silent retreats, vipassanas, and that's the sort of caliber. Years of commitment to self practice, to self to yeah to inner navigation work.
Interesting. Interesting. A lot of questions around that. I think it's fascinating and how you communicate that, because we can take that, I can take that and apply it to many things. And how we communicate something that is, we're making a judgment, but it's based on our intuition or our needed filter of how we see things and what we see in front of us. So if someone's asking me to come on the podcast, I'm making a judgment, I'm making an analysis of the situation. And I'd like to know maybe more about that. Can you speak more about the way you communicate that to people? Did you present them with an opportunity to further deepen their experience and reapply or reapproach them, or how does that look?
Well, it comes back again to the like really choosing not to live in monoculture context. So there's not like a checklist. There's not a here we have this score sheet, and if you pass the score sheet, then you come. It doesn't work that way. It's a very dynamic, fluid process that, even if I explained it here, wouldn't really add much to people. The ones who get it already get it,
Okay, guess we'll have to
and
apply.
the ones who don't just don't yet, and it's fine. It's fine either way. I yeah, there's this theme that's flowing through this conversation is really powerful and beautiful. I'm reading this book by a man who he's a half Native American man from New Mexico, and he wandered through Mexico in his 20s, and he ended up in on this lake in a village, in a Mayan village here back in the 60s, 70s, and he became a shaman. He became over many years, and the tribe leader, actually, also a very well respected man who has a spiritual school in New Mexico now, like a spiritual place. And he's talking about his initiations, and there's no book, there's no handbook about this. In real mentor apprentice relationships, back in the original cultures, there's no handbook, there's no tests, there's no like grade. Oh, you passed, so you get to move on to the next grade. It doesn't work that way. It's a very fluid, intuitive process where it's just about being fully engaged with the process. And I think this is like somehow connected to your question. It's like, do we detect that this person is fully engaged with the process of their being, of who they are becoming? Are they fully engaged with it?
Yeah.
Does this matter enough to them that when they go in there, it's going to matter enough in there?
Sure. Yeah, that's for me, it's the conscious relating point is really powerful, and how you relate those things without like dismissing their experience or not validating what they may have already done. Example.
Yeah, and again, it's not like only monks are allowed. There's a lot people come from all places and backgrounds and work at corporate jobs, and yeah, that it's it is it's how it goes. And sometimes we have people that come that were really, in hindsight, we're really not ready, and they got what they got, and it was great, and beautiful.
Yeah.
And we did the best that we could to like create a container that supported them being all in.
Do you think
you know
that is the case in some medicine circles, which we hear a lot about? Do you think that's justification? Like there's no bad thing and they'll get what they need, and that's a valid reason or a perspective to actually allowing people into a space where they're probably not ready for?
I'm completely on that, on that. So on that level, my intuition is also not right or wrong. It just is, and I trust it. I allow it to be. So if there's someone who comes that approaches that, they really seem like they're like, this is not, it really seems like they're not there, but something inside me says this person needs to be here. Okay. We must be the gatekeepers. There must be some guardians of the space. There must be someone that's tapped into the source of what this place stands for, and that lets that source speak through them. And this is what I just said. I just made a really big statement. So
Yeah.
if you didn't get it, just keep moving on this conversation. Don't worry about it. But it's important to understand that every context has a source, right? And you can jack into that source, jack into the source of the context. For instance, if you go to a Starbucks has a context, right? It has a way things go, and there's somebody who decides, like, this person, okay, so if they walk in with a gun, they're not supposed to, we don't, you have to get out of here, sorry, like, and in the Starbucks context, maybe they decide that if someone homeless comes in, they give them a piece of bread and say, we're here for you, here's a piece of bread, and then ask them to leave. There's just every context has its source, and there's someone or a group of people who are jacked into that source, who get it, who get what this place stands for. Maybe that helps.
For sure. At what point does that stop becoming effective in terms of how many people can be jacked in at once, and how does that look in, I guess, speaking on your experience, it gets a little what's the word?
So
It gets
yeah.
Go on.
Well, there's a meme that's sitting under what you're saying, which is the it's like the everything must keep growing, about scale, about creating scale, and we got to scale this, and we want more people here and to be bigger, and we don't play that game. This having a sanctuary requires a very strong focus, and we're not looking to grow or make it bigger or get more people. We're looking for the alignment. That's the goal, is alignment, and the goal is to keep connecting within. So there is no plan for growing, or scaling, or getting the next hermitage somewhere else. It's just we're on our journey into ourselves. So as long as we can do that, that's what matters. And so, yeah, at scale, it doesn't work. It's a patriarchal thoughtware, the scaling that doesn't it mostly facilitates the destruction of life on planet Earth.
Is there anything you don't agree with in the kind of things that go on at the center? Anything you don't align with, and that's okay?
Yes, we're currently in this intimacy of the owner wanting the context, like it wanting this to be a darkness retreat center, and like focused on darkness, and I want this to be an interconnection center, that the darkness is one crucial element, but it's not the center point of the whole thing. And we're in this dance because there are a few of us that feed this place, right? That we feed the context, and there's only one person that the darkness is his medicine, is his like number one thing. The rest of us have different medicines, but there's a connection point between all of us, which is that interconnection, right? That's the like source point of it. And so we're in this dance, and there's what matters most, and more than that, is that we care about each other. And so that we're that's the top priority. And this thing, we're not, no one's pushing their agenda. We're just seeing how it goes.
What do you think the
And
center
at
point
least,
should be?
well, yeah, interconnection.
Yeah, wasn't that the common?
Cultivating interconnection is like it's like, yeah. So, and I also see what he's talking about, that the darkness, the dark room is like it's like the whale, it's like the elephant of the place. It's the big daddy of this, of what happens here. It's what gives people that gives people huge breakthroughs and huge doorways to walk through. So I get it. And then, yeah, we all of our gifts, the breathwork practices and different types of shamanic practices, and the emotional bodies work, and energetic, energy work, they all support, they all sort of frame the dark room. And frankly, does it actually matter? Does it matter if the dark is the main thing, or interconnection? We're here, people are coming, transformations happening,
Well,
consciousness is being served.
interconnection for me is more of a value of a theme. It's less less of a practice, let's say, or less of a physical thing that you can
Yeah.
viscerally, put into some sort of category. The darkness is something that you can categorize, but interconnection spreads through everything. I'd say that is the centerpiece of the darkness, really. Like that's the theme of it,
Yes.
really.
Yes. It is.
So how is that different
Well, it
to?
just the reason this does start to matter is because when we decide, like, okay, are we gonna have what kind of retreats will we let in here, like group, because we can also support some group retreats, and it's like, what are we going to work with, and what are we not going to work with, right? What is the what when we jack into the source of this sanctuary, what is it calling for, really?
Mhm.
And instead of, we it's funny, it's like us humans, we do this thing as like it's like a theater, like we sit and we debate, and but at the end, the place is going to decide. So we sit, like, and we like have this, we play this game of like debating and like see who how we figure this out, but really the place is the real medicine. The space is the real medicine. It's the real teacher. We're just serving the teacher. That's it.
Mhm. Yeah, man. I think that's sometimes hard for people to get. Can you talk more about that? Like, what do you mean by the space? And how do
Yeah,
you
so
how do you communicate with the space?
yeah, this space is, every place has an energy, and the way you can recognize this is that wherever in as you move through different spaces, you show up differently. uh,
Mm.
as you go to different places, different cities, different places in the world, different bodies of water, you show up differently. Some places you're more connected and you feel this deep spiritual thing. Some places you feel totally lost. Some places you feel super energized. Some places you feel more quiet. Every place has its energy, and this place has a specific energy, and it is this energy of going within, of spending time alone, solitude, silence, darkness, feeling, all the things that happen within. And the space, it naturally calls in certain things. So certain things happen here, like in Miami, certain things happen. In New York, certain things happen. Here, different things happen. And it's really interesting because the trainings that were brought here were in this work that I do, and these trainings are actually quite loud. Like, we do a lot of emotional navigation work and a lot of emotional initiation work, and like a lot of anger work and loud fear and big sadness, and what ended up happening is that the people from the town came to the center and said, and we're like, not okay with this, like, something, what's going on, is there like devil worship happening here? They sent I think they sent the police, and it was really messy. And you could say, oh yeah, well, it's just that these people don't want, but it was not. They were sent by something. They were sent by something else. They're just a representation of an energy, and they were sent here to say, this is not what's meant to happen here.
Maybe
Like
maybe they were just alarmed by the change
a
suddenly.
big group yelling and screaming. Well, that's what I'm saying. But if you move away from the material, from 3D, and you move up into into the energetics, there's an
Mm.
energy that calls for something here, and it's not that. And the energetically, the material is being sent to say, hey, this is not, no, don't do this here.
Yeah, okay. Let's play this for a while though. So say if my neighbor comes over because there's a lot of noise happening, they're picking up on an energy. and they're communicating that it's not okay, it's, do I then think, oh, that the space is not for that? Is that a part of it?
Well, no, you get to engage in a dialogue.
Hmm.
You get to engage in a process, but most people won't do this. They'll just try to make a conclusion.
Okay.
You get to engage in it. So like Severin went and he went to the town hall and he went to engage with them and figure out what was going on. But also I think the modern humans need to relearn how to listen, relearn how to listen. Like when certain, when certain like you hear animals making noises all of a sudden, or a, a thunder comes in right when you're saying that thing, or a glass falls and breaks right as something's happening, like pay attention.
Mm.
There's signs happening that are coming from other realms that we did not learn how to perceive, but that are doesn't mean they're not there. So paying attention, also paying attention to the capacity to play with this energy. So when you put out an altar, you make offerings, you light candles, like you can ask for what you want. It doesn't mean like you're a victim of the space. That's not what it means. Like we're in this dialogue with the space, right? I plant seeds and I make offerings and I say, hey, I'm here, I care, I want to be here, and I plant things, and then I see, like, are the things that I'm planting, are they growing? Okay, well maybe that means that I'm welcome here, you know that I'm meant to plant seeds here and to grow roots here.
Do you ever ask permission?
Do I ask for permission?
Yeah.
It's not
from,
a
from the land, from because it's often what happens in ceremony, right?
Yeah, it's not a 100% of the time thing for me, but for when I see people asking for permission, what I actually see them doing is doing this process of listening, of like taking a moment, slowing down and noticing, like, okay, what is actually going on here? What am
Mm.
I not seeing? What is being asked for that I don't readily uh, perceive? And it's just really a slowing down process, which is, in the conscious relating game, it's like this if you did nothing else, just slow down, and note and pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. When does that not work? Yeah.
I mean, here I inherently move a lot slower, and it's been challenging. I'm not gonna, oh yeah, I'm great and I made it here and this is what. No, it's challenging. Of course, there's still parts of me that are moving at a speed that are still faster than this place, but more and more I'm like, the space is I'm receiving medicine and the teachings of this space, of this place, and I'm slowing down to meet what is being asked of me here.
Have you had to park some things and make space for this place?
Well, my camper van is parked in Montana,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm actually going to go get it next week. I'm going to go travel the U.S. a little bit, and then we're the space is we're it's being closed for a month and a half to like rest, recharge, reconnect, and reestablish like what is being asked for here, which is, I think, so. I'm like bow down to Severin for calling this, like closing for a month and a half, closing a business for a month and a half. It's so beautiful that, like, this is what I've been looking for, is a place that does not run as a business, that runs as a purpose, and that money
Mm.
flows through it as a consequence. And that's what I've been really calling. I really didn't think it existed. I did not think it existed, and I here I am, and it's like it's like yeah, just like an exhale, breath of fresh air, exhale. Like thank thank God for something like this does actually exist.
So living with a purpose or living as a purpose, living the purpose rather than living as a business should or a business operates.
Yeah, it's like living as we can scale this down to the individual, like living as my purpose versus living as a vehicle for the consumer machine. Make money, spend money. Yeah, it's I don't. It's not about pointing fingers or about passing judgments, but I see so many people these days like, yeah, I'm living my purpose. I'm making so much money. I'm living my purpose and I'm getting so many clients and I'm making so much money. And you can learn how to do this too. I'm just like, come on, guys. Like, your purpose was not to figure out how to make lots of money and help other people figure out how to make lots of money too.
You've just got a lot of coaches coaching coaches, and it's like one big coaching program. I love it.
Yeah, it's become like a multi-level marketing thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all I see. It's all I see. All the adverts are like teaching people how to teach people. And I'm like, is anyone actually applying any of this? Or are you just teaching people how to apply it?
That's the next one. That's a good one. Teach people how to apply to work with coaches. You could probably make a lot of money with that.
Yeah, man. That's mad. Hey, yeah, yeah. And how are you still showing up online? You post now and again, I see. How's that? And do you have any
Um,
plans, yeah, other than get the camper and have a little road trip?
I'm doing a lot more writing these days. Actually, I committed to writing a book, and
Powerful.
I don't know if it's going to be any good. And it's not the purpose of. It's not. I'm not trying to write a good book. I'm just wanting to write out my story and like really get out all the things that I've wanted to say and like put it all down on paper and make space for like what am I really meant to write.
Hmm.
And actually the most amazing thing is that through writing this book I get so much inspiration to write these articles. So I've been publishing articles on this platform called Substack, where I've just been like I get so much inspiration. I'm writing a book and at the same time like these articles come out in parallel and I just like publish it. And it's so God, I was just reading part of this book that says it was saying that when you like as a shaman, when you discover a new prayer, they say that like, these shamans in this culture in their dreams they get prayers and they learn how to work and manipulate certain energies like rain or animals like through their dreams. And that when this new prayer comes, that tradition is, it's arrived. Tradition is the arrival of of creating new things, right? There's tradition, which is about keeping things as they are, and there's creation, which is about creating new things and coming up with new solutions and new ways of offering healing, and in the shaman's case. And that there's the enemy of tradition, there's also the enemy of death that's trying to kill you and stop creation from happening, creativity. And so that whenever they get new prayers and new things, that they have to make lots of offerings, lots of offerings to keep these forces of tradition and of death happy, keep them fed, and so they don't retaliate. And yeah, I noticed that like writing the book is like all of this creation that I'm doing, and then on the side I'm sending these articles out to the world that are gifts. You know, I'm just giving gifts of articles out to the world, and it's somehow this is like the offerings that I'm making as I'm writing this book. It's yeah, it's been a quite an initiation to be in the process of writing this thing.
Hmm.
I think I'm like
And how?
almost 2 months. I'm almost 2 months into the process, and I've written like 250 pages or something of all my stories.
Wow, maybe you should do a part one and maybe a part two.
Yeah, volumes.
Volumes, yeah, leatherback
I think
binders.
I think that I have a working title. It's the working title is How Not to Write Your First Book.
Makes sense.
So I feel like I'm breaking all the rules of like writing a book, and it's just
I mean, it's
I
your
I
book. It's your book. You can do what you want. You're
I
giving
had
birth.
enough. I'd had enough of like trying to figure out how to do it, and so I just started doing it.
Yeah, it
And
sounds like you're having fun.
yeah, and I even got a group of people who wanted to write a book also, and we have like 27, or we originally were 30 people that all said raised their hand, said yes, I want to write a book. And so we made a group, and like we meet every other week and share wins and share struggles in a group chat. And I had realized early on that what I really wanted was to inspire with this book was to inspire other people to write their book. That's what really mattered to me. And then I see all these people that are gathering and like writing, and I'm just like, wow, this book's not even done, and it's already serving its purpose. So, or one of its purposes. So
Hmm.
I feel really glad about that, and it's one of the things, one of the many things in my life right now that are making me feel very connected and alive and radiant.
Hmm. Good man. You have a lightness about you. Yeah, I can't remember the last time we spoke, but it was yeah, it's definitely a good half a year ago, maybe. Medicine Festival's coming around. I'm going in 2 weeks. How was that for you last year?
Well, I went to All About Love, not to Medicine
Oh,
Festival.
did you? Oh, yes. Okay, that's this week. Okay.
And I was reminded again, not the last time, but I was reminded again that festivals are not my jam.
You just hid out in the sauna all weekend.
Well, no, I tried to get into it, but like I don't know, there's something about it that does not work for me. Like unless I go
Really?
there to facilitate, unless I go there to facilitate something or like offer
Too
something,
much
like
freedom.
I just no, it's just too much consumerism. It's all consumption.
Depends to what festival, I think. It's very hard to create much without it in these lands. Mm. Yeah, man. Um, I always learn things when I speak to you, bro. So thank you. Thank you for staying true to yeah, the path you're on, man. I always
What
feel
would you
that
say?
coming away. What I've
What
learned
would
from
you
this
say you took
conversation.
away from this? What would you say you took away
Hmm.
from this?
I think it's a re framing of and a reminder of the game I'm playing. And it's sometimes alarming to think about because just when I think I'm making progress, I have one of these conversations or something that comes my way, and I'm like, okay, how much am I playing into the game, which is ultimately flawed by my own values, um, and how much am I consciously choosing to participate, and what's my intentions every day to to sustain the life that I want to live. And it's always a reframing of that when I speak to you. It's always a check-in of where I'm at on that journey of producing content, creating, and holding business and pleasure and the mingle of both of them and the concepts that I create for myself around those things. Ultimately, it's the reframe and it's the check-in. That's what I take away, and it takes takes some days to integrate perhaps the thoughts and feelings that come my way. But I love it. I love it, man. I learn. Yeah, that's the biggest learning for me. It's having those insights.
Yeah, I want to say that there's a it's like a bowing and a gratitude that I feel for people like you who make these podcasts or make this take the time to do this work. I know it's not easy, and yeah, I really am grateful for the opportunity to be part of this with you. And there's this thing that I want to share, which is the shield and the sword of a person on the path of awakening. And yeah, I always keep if you see me, you probably see me with my pen here and with my notebook in my pocket. And there's so many times in this conversation that I wanted to write something down and I didn't because I was like really trying to stay engaged. But I got a lot out of this too, and I appreciate so much the space to unfold the the connection between things and to discover through speaking. My words don't usually come from what I know. They just come from opening my mouth and letting words come out and learning as I speak. And yeah, it's always amazing, and I'll look forward to rewatching the recording so that I can take the notes that I forgot to take, that I didn't allow myself to take.
I love it, man. I
Yeah.
love learning from my past self. It's the biggest gift that I can give to myself is to record something for the future me. And I check in with like 3 years ago of the podcast. Mate, you should go back and listen to the first one we did. It is so powerful, like more than I ever gave it credit for. It's just like, wow, we were wise, man. And this is like 3 years ago. So I feel wiser now. I know I am. So it's just it's a gift that you give to yourself to maybe it's a note, maybe it's a yeah, no, maybe it's some form of letter to your future self or just yeah. Yeah, man. It's amazing. And the sword and the shield. Love it.
Yeah.
When you coming
Yeah,
back to England?
that's a good question. I just want to say before I answer that, my one of my mentors says that you have to write your book or write your articles now as who you are now, because what you're going through now, you can't wait till you've got it figured out to like write it, because who you are
Mm.
now is who somebody else will be that will need to read what you had to say as that person then. Um, so yeah, recording could mean yeah, audio, video, writing, but just get it, yeah, get your insights and your questions and your blocks, like get it down now before you got it figured out. Which leads me to answering your question with the answers I don't know. If someone invited me to go hold space for something that really meant something, and for a group of men who I could be sit in circle with and share and receive from, then I might have more clarity about it.
Mate, your teachings are still being echoed around these lands for the 6 men that you changed the course of their life. Honestly, you people don't even think that it was real because you obviously they've never seen you again. So they're like, was that Jeff guy even real? It's like some sort of like God moment. It's some guy just landed and then just disappeared.
That was a really special experience for me. I really enjoyed being there and meeting these guys, and I wonder about them. I wonder often about how they're doing and what's going on, and when one of them will actually just reach out to me and make contact. But yeah, that was such a very, very special experience, and I hope that there you I mean it looks like you're continuing to do them, and I hope that people make the right decision and go, because
Mm.
that stuff matters.
Yeah, man. Again, it's a lot. I'm not rushing to do them. I know how powerful they've been. I've done two now, another one in the same time of year as last time, August 25th, 27th, but it's in a month. So yeah, it's I know how powerful they are. So I'm not in a rush to, again, that's probably one thing that I'm most proud of, actually, not rushing or not trying to progress that too quickly or change it, because it's, you know, yeah, it is so rich in its simplicity. But yeah, man, I'm setting intentions for next year, and you have the invitation, so we'll get a date in the calendar, and I'll get all the resources possible to bring you over here, man. Because I think you have so much to give, and it's yeah, I haven't met many people who I truly trust their intention and their integrity is in a place that I really resonate with. I've met a few people in the last year, um, year before that, but there's been a few, and I want to just introduce you to those, because for me they're not that common. So it's and of course it's whoever resonates with who, but with me, you're definitely one of those people. So love you, man, and yeah, let's keep the conversation going.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate those words, and I'm it's like feeling like showered by all of that love, and thank you. Yeah, I would love to continue to create with you and leave the rest to Gaia to figure out for us.
Mm, amazing. Appreciate you. Yeah, press and play. I'm writing the book. That is, yeah. Send me whatever you want me to brief, man. I am here.
I'm warning you. This book might be the most terrible thing that anybody's ever written. I needed to get it out. So
Yeah,
I'll share it with you when I've completed it. When I've completed the writing,
yeah,
the
man.
first draft, so you can
Hmm.
give it a
How
look.
can people join your Telegram? Is that open to anyone?
Yeah, you can join. Well, the Urban Barefoot is the page, and send me a message and ask me about the Telegram group, and yeah, I can send you the link to join the group for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Nice, man.
I'm
Beautiful.
trying to think of like what places I had to send. Yeah, just find me on Instagram and send me a message. Like, let's talk. There's no secretary or assistant or helpline, or there's just me. So come find me, and if you're curious about the Hermitage, go
Mm.
look it up.
It's funny because I've just been spending time at the Hermitage as well, in a center, a regenerative farm in England. I don't know if you've seen 42 acres retreat center, and they have
Yeah,
like a renovated farm, and it's called the Hermitage. Interesting that we're both at those spots, because yeah, it's where the hermits go. It's where that comes from. It,
yeah.
I don't know many hermitages apart from these two.
The place that you're at looks wonderful.
Mhm. Yeah, maybe that'll be
Yeah.
the space for you. Maybe that'll be the space for you. That'll be cool. Right, man. Let's wrap this up. Good to
Thank
chat,
you.
bro.